Hi everyone, my name is Liz I Read and welcome to another video. So this is a recommendations video. It's that if you like this, then you will like this recommendations video. So the main book that I'm focusing on is Cinderella's Dead. This is a dystopian fantasy novel that I just read recently, and it's a female-female romance. I would love to recommend some books. If you've read Cinderella's Dead, then you'll probably like the following recommendations. So the number one recommendation I have for you is The Jewel by Amy Ewing. Now, Cinderella's Dead is, like I said, dystopian fantasy, and The Jewel is also a dystopian fantasy. So I couldn't help but just think of this right away after reading Cinderella's Dead. In The Jewel, it's different, where it is a dystopian in a city. It's pretty much called the Lone City Trilogy. And in the city is broken up into sections, and each section is like a ring. In the center is the jewel, and that's where the rulers live, and they're obviously extremely wealthy and have lots of money and control over the island or like the big city. And on the outskirts of the jewel is like where the merchants live and the farmers live in one ring, and the furthest ring is where all the poor people live. And our main protagonist, she's obviously from the poor section, because that's usually how it is. And young women from the poor section, for whatever reason, have a special ability. When the people of the jewel discover these women or young girls who have this ability, they send them away and train them up. And eventually, after learning this skill, it's not really skill, it's actually more like a magic ability. When they get to a certain age, they get auctioned off and they get purchased by people of the jewel and taken to like a very gilded, beautiful lifestyle. And everything is not as it seems. So when I thought of Cinderella's Dead, it really reminded me of the jewel, because there's an element of beauty and there's an element of women oppression, and there's an element of obviously a society controlling a certain group of people. And in this case, it's people who do not have wealth. There's just the wealthy is controlling those who are not wealthy. But the element of beauty and wealth and things looking beautiful when things are not so beautiful, very similar. And it's a dystopian, they're both dystopians, so that's my number one recommendation. Now, I wasn't a hugest fan of Cinderella's Dead, and same with The Jewel, but if you like Cinderella's Dead, you will probably really like The Jewel. My next recommendation is The Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. Again, another dystopian. There's going to be a lot of dystopian recommendations. This one, the focus is on beauty, and in Cinderella's Dead, there is an element of beauty because the girls here have to make themselves extremely presentable when they go to the annual ball. Here, the whole society is fixated on beauty in the book Uglies. And our main protagonist, she cannot wait until the day she gets beautiful. You are considered ugly until a certain age, and then at that age, you undergo operation, and the operation makes you pretty, and then you live this wonderful life as a beautiful person. I read this book forever ago. I don't remember tons of it, but I do remember really liking book one. In book one, you don't see the main protagonist undergoing the surgeries quite yet, but you see her kind of learning and discovering this dystopian society, and she kind of goes on a quest. And I always like journey stories. I always like seeing our main character traveling and going on a mission, and there's elements of that in this book. So if you like the focus on outward beauty and how the focus on that is a flaw in society, check out this dystopian. The next one is another dystopian, and it's called Delirium by Lauren Oliver. This is like one of my first YA trilogies that I read, same with The Uglies. So it was a long time ago, but when I read this trilogy, I fell in love with it, absolutely loved it. And the focus here is more on love. And in Cinderella's Dead, Sophia is in love with Aaron, her childhood friend, and since they're both girls, they can't fall in love in the society. And Delirium is very similar, where love is considered a disease. People, again, undergo an operation to remove the ability of love. and so everyone conforms to this kind of numb lifestyle after the operation. And our main protagonist, she finds herself falling in love with a young boy, and they're not supposed to be in love because of the society. And the focus in this dystopian world is the control of people's relationships and how they feel about each other. So if you like that aspect of Cinderella's Dead, then you should check out this one. Okay, the next recommendations I have is The Selection by Kira Cass. So this is still considered a dystopian, but not at the same level as like Cinderella's Dead. It's still a dystopian, but if you really like romance, and if you want the focus to be on the romance, then The Selection is a really good suggestion, I would say. In this world, it is a caste society, and America Singer, she's from like the 5th caste, meaning she's a musician, and she's kind of like a lower middle class. Her family still struggles with money a little bit. The Selection is where a bunch of girls from the society get selected to be presented before the prince, and he gets to choose someone from these girls to become his bride and his princess. So America Singer doesn't want anything to do with it. She's in love with someone else, but unfortunately that relationship isn't going to work out because he's from a different caste and he wants her to be safe and happy, and he convinces her to sign up for the selection. So she does, and miraculously she gets chosen. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. So it's, like I said, heavier on the romance. The romance is a big part of Cinderella's Dead, but I would say more so in here. Like, this is just a plain romance, and it just happens to be a dystopian society, whereas Cinderella's Dead is a dystopian with a romance in it. But I love The Selection, always have. I know not a lot of people like it, but I think it's a good time. Now my last recommendation is the Shatter Me series by Tahira Mafi. This series, again, another dystopian. I guess they're all dystopians. But we follow Juliet, and in this world, Juliet, her touch is fatal. She doesn't know why. She's been locked in prison for a year until one day a boy is sent into her cell, and things kind of progress from there. She has some kind of special ability, like I said, her touch is fatal, and she learns to use that power. There's a love triangle in here. I really enjoyed this. I'm trying to remember the dystopian aspect. It is there. It's a different world, and people are oppressed in this world, but the focus is not on women being oppressed. The focus isn't on beauty. It's just another dystopian story. So if you're just looking for another YA dystopian, I do recommend this. I haven't finished the whole series. I've only read the first trilogy, but I hope to one day finish the entire series. So those are my recommendations. If you liked the book Cinderella's Dead, I hope you liked this video. If you've read any of those recommendations, or if you read Cinderella's Dead, please comment down below. I would love to know your opinions and thoughts about all these books. I would love to have a conversation with you in the comments. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you have not done so. You can follow me on Instagram and Goodreads. And you know what? I want you to keep reading. Bye.